Welcome to dotEXE, a saving content podcast. I am Eric Acosta, the one who wants to be the very best, throwing out today's episode 29. My opponent for today's battle is, as always, saving content's own Ed Acosta.
I had a line, but I forgot. I done forgot.
You done did. Spit hot fish?
I spit hot fish.
Well.
Oh, I remembered what it was.
There it is. All right, let's do it again.
No. We keep going. We keep rolling. It's not going to be as good now, but prepare for trouble.
Make it double.
Oh, well.
Well, we tried. Can't be perfect all the time.
I know it's hard for me to not be, but, it happens.
Well, it is the world we live in. So today, let's get caught up with what we've been doing, what we've been getting ourselves into. Ed, what have you been getting into?
It's mostly been Saints Row, going through Santa Ilaso and cleaning up all the side activities and everything. Still having great fun with that game. There's some jank here and there, like with physics or something, but the bugs aren't as, at least my copy, my save file has not had the bugs that some other people have. So I've been enjoying it.
Mine still has some pretty bad bugs.
It is as fun and wacky as a Saints Row game should be. So I still firmly believe it is a great Saints Row game. Other than that, it's been playing a little more of the Cowabunga Collection. I have gone through and beat a few of the games, gone through and played some of them that I haven't played before, and figured out that those Game Boy games I enjoy. They were actually pretty good.
Yeah, I don't remember a whole lot of the Game Boy games. I mean, doesn't mean I didn't play them, but I don't remember them.
I don't either. Like, I was having a conversation with another person about the Game Boy, and we were talking about the different releases of the Game Boy and how 1989 was when the Game Boy released.
Whew.
And I remember, clearly remember going to, it was either a Costco or a Price Club, or it might have even been a Sam's Club at the time, with mom and dad. And we were waiting for, me and you were waiting for mom to finish checking out at the line. And we were sitting back by the doors where they had all the video games. And just, I remember seeing the Game Boy sitting there on the shelf for $89, thinking, oh, it's just $89.
Yeah, it's only 90. I don't remember that, but then again, I would have been 3 at max.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's like 2.5 or something.
And I think a year later or something, we got it for Christmas. We got 2 of them for Christmas. So
yes,
it worked out.
They still work.
Yes. And as I was telling the gentleman I was talking with, is that they are still at our parents' house and they still work.
Well, one of them's at the house here. Genevieve used for dance.
Right.
But it still worked. And actually for a little bit, Genevieve was playing it, and Maris wanted to start her own Pokemon. I think it's Blue that we have in there.
I left it with Crystal Silver. So unless you guys took it out, it was probably Silver.
I'll double check. I think it actually was one of the original 2.
The only thing, though, I think all those batteries are shot in those cartridges, so there's no saving.
I think the one that was in there was still working because it still had my save. I'd have to double check now. But I told her, I was like, well, you have to be able to read first.
So, yeah.
That is kind of like the entry, you know, prerequisite to the Pokemon games. You kind of have to be able to read, or she
And just to
really have a good
clarify,
brain.
that's not Genevieve. That's the little one.
No, yeah, Maris, the youngest one. Genevieve was playing. I think she actually continued my save. Yeah, she had to have because that it was still working because I told her don't mess anything up.
All right.
Yeah, but she was playing that for a little bit. And I was just surprised that I popped in new batteries and it booted right up. It doesn't have the plastic screen cover anymore.
No, but you can buy those. Apparently, those are not too expensive.
Yeah, and it still has the backing, the door.
It does, yes.
Which apparently that is a thing that gets lost on a lot of the Game Boys.
They were not attached.
Well,
and it's just a little plastic clip that holds it in place. So yeah, I could see how they can break off or get lost.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty nifty.
Yeah, so like, we didn't have those Turtles Game Boy games, but I kind of wish we did because that was the three that are on that collection are actually really fun for just being a single player Turtles game. Granted, very easy, but fun.
Did you go back and play the what is it, the original Nintendo Turtles one?
Okay, so the original NES one, yes. So
is it as hard as we remember it?
I mean, it's hard, but I think it was more of a with age thing that it was super hard because if you play it now, the enemies and the encounters, it's difficult, but that's because of design constraints or the way they specifically designed it to be.
Right.
Then there are things like the water level, it's not really that hard. If you have all your turtles and you just run through the electric fencing, you can go hit everything and just, be sure to switch out the turtles before you hit like 2 squares and you'll make it to the end.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, that part has always been a little bit overblown on how difficult it was. It is hard, but it's not like, oh my gosh, it's Battletoads.
Right.
But yeah, that one still enjoyable to play. That one is also like one of the only ones that doesn't have a level skip or a like God mode or infinite lives or anything like that.
Is that because it wasn't programmed in the game?
I don't think so, because there are some of the other like enhancements for those other games. They are like the cheat codes, but some of them are things that are brand new to it. So it's like it's not like they couldn't have added that in there. So I bet you it was done on purpose to make the game that much harder. I don't know.
Right. So that you couldn't get this and be like, yes, I can finally beat it now.
Right. I mean, you could sit there, watch the video playthrough until they get to the end and then hit, play and then you're dropped right in, but still, and then I was playing a little more of House Flipper Pets to get that ready for the review that went out this week. And, House Flipper is a great game. It is a nice...
So much fun.
Listen to a podcast and just go and renovate. Kind of like a power wash simulator or like the car mechanic simulator. It is in that vein, and it's just a nice, relaxing time. Plus, you get to kind of do some creativity, some customization. Pets is nice because it's pets, cats, dogs. They have birds and rodents and fish and a spider. They have snakes and reptiles. So they've got a whole slew of different pets you can have with you. And the pets can stay at your office, or you can actually take them out on jobs with you, which is, there's no point to doing that, but it's just neat. And even better, if you want to dress them up in like little hats or something, you can have them wear a hat and then go out to the job with you.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, like you said, it doesn't do anything, but that's nifty. I mean, that's like, hey, here's my little pet. Do you like
Yeah,
make them sit, or do they sit in an area, or
you can. Yeah,
okay?
you can make them stay. You can make them sit. I think the dogs can do some tricks. Uh, Along with that, there is some caretaking that does go into the animals also. So you can, for the dogs at least, you can buy like a wash bin, and it's like a little wash station that you would find at a groomer's,
Oh,
and you
okay.
can wash the dog, dry him, shampoo, and all that fun stuff. Get them clean. You can feed them, make sure that they're fed, because they do have meters to show like how dirty they are, how hungry
Hmm.
they are, how tired they are. So you got a little bit of work to keep those in check.
Will they die if you don't feed them, or is it just one of those like, oh, you need to feed them, and they just or won't do anything until you feed them?
I didn't run into that issue. I'm not a monster.
I mean, that's the first thing I would do. Is like, do you actually die? Do you pass away?
I have no idea. I didn't actually check to see if when the bars get low, if anything actually happens. You're technically adopting them, and when you don't want to have them in your house or on the job with you anymore, you can actually send them back to like a caretaker. But
Oh.
you still have adopted them, but you're letting them like doggy sit or
I
something.
was gonna you send them to someone to babysit them or animal sit them. Yeah,
Yeah, it's just like this. I think they frame it as like it's a shelter. So
gotcha.
it's just like putting them in the bank and bringing them back out.
The Pokebank.
The one thing that kind of just it seemed like a misstep is all the enclosures needed for the animals are really big. So like you can make an like baby gate fences for an area for like the dogs or something. But on the jobs that required, because the jobs for the pets DLC is very much in line with all the other ones. Hey, come to my house, sell this stuff I don't want, and build this stuff that I do. So there's a bunch of new pet like themed items and then pet specific items like the little doggy gates that I was talking about.
Right.
And you have to make it a certain size. Well, some of the rooms that these houses are barely fit that. Uh,
Huh.
and then there's things like the cat towers, which is what the cat enclosures are, and those are huge. Little bunny enclosures are not little; they're like a little chicken coop with a giant fence.
No. Well, I mean, technically, bunnies are supposed to have like
Well, yes, yes,
huge
um,
areas.
but they seem very big for the sizes of the houses that are in this game, especially since you can't tear down outside walls and make
Oh,
the house
right. You can't make
bigger.
the house any bigger. That's my one biggest flaw. My one biggest gripe with House Flipper is like you can't sim it. Right. I can't be
Yeah,
like make it larger or even at minimum extending a room. Like
yeah.
you're not
I
tear
mean,
down the whole thing, but like just make a doorway in a to a bigger room or something.
yeah. I mean, you can tear down inside walls and make a room bigger, which is what I did to fit a couple animals in this one person's house. Oh well. But you just can't make the house bigger. The other thing that was really weird was so for my office, I went and bought a new house specifically just so I can put some the pet stuff in there. And I bought a fish tank. There's like 4 to 5 different species of fish, one species per tank.
Uh, what?
Yeah, so like I bought some angelfish, and then I was gonna bought this poor word, but I got some angelfish, and then I tried to adopt some tetras, and it wouldn't let me put them in the same tank. I'm like,
Well, like,
wait a minute.
hmm, that's weird because that's like a. I think that seemed to be like a programming limitation,
Yeah,
but not because not. I can't imagine it would be for any reason other than they don't want to program the video of two different ones in a tank. Maybe
something.
that seems
Uh,
weird.
Along with that, they also have bird cages, but these are like the walk-in bird cages. It's not even like the little tiny, just
like an aviary?
It almost like an indoor aviary for the size of a person, just
wow.
one. But they're not like, you remember when I had the birds, it was just a little bird cage on like its own pedestal.
Yeah.
No, they don't have anything like that. They don't even have the just like a branch or like a perch that, some people will have in their house and let their bird fly free in the house.
Right.
Can't do that either. So
this very restricting.
I have to wonder if some of that stuff can, ends up getting updated with patches and things like that. But it's still, it's House Flipper. It's fun. And the construction is still good. It's just nice having a pet along. And I think for the price to entry, the $19.99, fits more in line with this than it did, let's say, with like the Garden Flipper. Right. Where it was just all the outside stuff. Both of them are $19.99. I'd probably happily pay $19.99 for the House Flipper, but maybe a discounted rate on the Garden. And I made a mention of all that in the review and everything. So
right,
feel free to go read it and make your own decision. But we have also been playing a little Pokemon, haven't we?
Yes, Pokemon Fire Red.
Now, I know you were playing your own copy the other day and doing your 100% run.
Yes, which I am. I'm at 36 Pokemon. Still on that blasted Kakuna. Thing is taking so much time. Not as much as Metapod. But this Kakuna still is taking me forever. I think he's at like 88 right now. So I'm almost there.
Okay.
Almost. But yeah, I mean, I'm at, let's see, Venomoth, I just got 100, so I'm doing Doug Trio.
Okay.
As in Persian, as the two, like the all share or experience share.
Mm-hmm.
And here's a crazy thing. Doug Trio started at like level 10 or 12. No, I think it was like 12. And he's already at 90. So he's already surpassed Kakuna, and Kakuna was at like 60, I think ish, 65-ish level when I started with Doug Trio.
He just drinks the experience that much slower. He enjoys it. He savors the experience.
His body does not metabolize it as fast.
Right.
He's using all of that all that experience to push out a Beedrill.
Exactly. And,
right?
Beedrill's got them big old stinger
drill hand things.
Drills. So.
Well, I mean, it takes a lot of energy to metamorphosize, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah. That's the justification.
The
but what we've been playing.
Yes.
Did you want to explain that one? Yeah.
If you haven't checked our YouTube page or even the site recently here, we have a new video series out that we're working on. We call it Save State. It is a play, I guess you could say it's a play on words, where the idea is we do a let's play run of a game, and it is a couple players, or just me and you, whoever, or maybe it's Scott and Evan if they ever decide to take up the mantle.
Right.
Regardless, the idea is play for an hour, then save the game, save that state, and you pass that save off to the next person for them to take control and play. And to make things more interesting, we'll include some like house rules. Yeah. So in this first series, we're doing a Fire Red run. House rules being it's nuzlocke and it's random.
Yep. Fully, well, not say fully, but Pokemon and types and all that, that's randomized. So
right.
That Bulbasaur it's probably not going to be a grass type.
Right. So you could end up with, what normally is a grass type Bulbasaur, but when you actually go and pick him up, or you say you catch him in the wild, he turns out to be like an electric dragon or something.
Right.
It's random.
Yeah, completely random. That includes the starters and includes the wild encounters that you see. So, you could have where you'd normally see a Pidgey, you could see, like an Entei or, a Mew.
Yeah. The hold on. The other thing that is, that I mentioned was the nuzlocke part. And if you're not familiar with nuzlocke, it is a specific way to play through the game where it really restricts on what you can do. These are like self-employed,
Imposed.
imposed, yeah,
Yeah.
self-imposed rules. So with a nuzlocke, the standard default is you can only catch one Pokemon in each area, and if a Pokemon faints, then you have to release them.
Right. It's considered dead.
Right. You can only hold 6 in your party. You can't make use of the storage system.
Well, that I don't think is a standard nuzlocke. I think that is one of them, but I think the first two are the main rules.
Yeah, the first two are the
nuzlocke.
main ones, and I'm pretty sure that third one is also part of like the first set of rules that came out with it.
Something like that, yeah.
But that's what we're doing. We're challenging ourselves. So Keegan was the inaugural game player, so he started us off. Then Eric is on this latest episode coming out, which I believe will be today. Today as in Thursday.
Right.
But depends on when I want to release it. It's ready to go. I just got to get it all the the back end stuff put together, and then we'll probably do some sort of regular schedule with it. But regardless,
we're testing it out. Yeah, we're testing it out, see how people like it.
Yeah. So regardless, it's a fun series. I hope you guys enjoy it as well. Give it a look. Let us know what you like to see and what you don't. So we'll make it better.
Yeah, comment, email us, all sorts of stuff. However you want to get to us, let us know.
But what about your week here, Eric?
So I have been, as you said, Pokemon Fire Red. I've also tried out Starcraft cartooned.
Yeah, this looked really cool, especially since Amazon Prime was giving out the Starcraft Remastered. We both got it, and then you saw it in the cartoon version in the thing, the Battle.net store.
Yes.
And I think we talked about it even last time a little bit. But we didn't download it at that time. You have?
I have. I purchased it. It was like, I think it was on sale for $7.99 instead of $10.
Oh, see, even better.
Yeah, so it was cheaper. It's basically a skin, right? It reskinned everything. Everything in the game is cartoon, kind of an Among Us, ish kind of look. Also that like newer like Flash, like right when like Flash was dying, I guess that Flash kind of look, like the drawn cartoon.
Yeah, it very much has that Newgrounds feel.
Yes,
to it.
That was what I was trying to think. Newgrounds feel. That's what I was looking for. And they've done some work on like the cinematics are also part of cartooned, and gameplay's cartooned. They've changed some of the cinematics a little bit to make it fit better. I haven't gone through much of the story to see if there's any story changes, but it looks like the dialogue and the gameplay on the campaigns are the same.
Okay.
They just changed animations and stuff like that, which I'm okay with it. $8. That's even at $10. I think it's worth the while just to see a different skin and kind of cartoonish and see what they've done to it. The better thing I like is that if you have it, because it's client based, it's just a skin. It's not like a new game, right? So you can still play with other people that are using the non-cartooned version, because it's not really a version. It's just a skin on the client computer. So you're not like locked into only people playing that type. So you can still multiplayer with anybody through Blizzard.net or Battle.net. Is it still?
It's Battle.net.
I guess it's still considered Battle.net. I thought they were supposed to be like converting that, but maybe they're waiting.
Once the Activision Microsoft thing ends up going through, I'm sure a lot of that stuff is going to be rolled onto like Microsoft servers.
Right.
You'll probably still have a Battle.net login, but when you go to buy something, it'll probably redirect you to the Microsoft store.
Oh yeah, or it'll probably do just the same thing happened with Mojang or whatever, where it's like they'll give like a certain amount of time, and then like, okay, well, all these
Oh,
accounts
of
are
course,
rolling
yeah.
to, Microsoft accounts,
Oh,
which
yeah.
that's fine. It makes sense, and hey, it's not like it's really not like it's changing that much. Other than that, and I found that fun. I'm actually going to get back into playing StarCraft, just because I haven't actually beaten the campaign without cheating.
Okay.
Well, I mean, the cheats are so in that game. The cheats are just fun.
They're also memorable.
Yeah,
Black Sheep Wall and
power
Power Overwhelming.
overwhelming. Oh yeah. We and I mean that we remembered them because we wrote them down and typed them in so many times when we played.
Right.
Um, so other things I've done is I got sidetracked. So it's kind of
Okay.
it's a story, and you know it, but we have our cousin who was telling us a story, and she was about like her like just a generic story like of her life or whatever, and I thought it was funny and like what she was mentioning in about it. So I made like a photo, quote unquote, photoshopped picture from like something online, and I just added like silly pasting things in. And initially, it was just gonna be like me paste it in, and show it to her. A 5-minute thing. I'm pretty sure that took like 2 hours.
Uh,
Because one, I was using it in 3D Paint or Paint 3D, and then I just kept going like, this would be kind of cool. I'll do this, and I just kept adding stuff, and then doing more than what Paint 3D could really do. So then I had to like, at one point, I had 4 different Paint 3D windows opened
uh-huh.
because I'd like do the magic tool on one, make and copy, cut it, and then paste it on the other one, and then go back to it to do another section of it. So, so I had like 4 windows open rolling through. Um, so that sidetracked me for a little bit, and then I did it with the 2 other photos for our other 2 cousins because I did it for one, and so I was like, I guess I should do the other 2. So that sidetracked me for another day.
Right.
So
Put in
that
some
took
extra time.
yeah, and it's funny. Paint 3D can do a fair amount of stuff, but it really shows you the limitation when you're trying to make it look decent and not just like that, meme plastered on thing. Because man,
Yeah.
I was really hurting for a lasso tool.
It it makes you get creative with how to go about with some of that stuff.
Oh yeah, because like you really have 2 options. You can either magic tool it, where you just you kind of like how you crop a lot of photos. You just show a square or a rectangular area, and then hit go or next, and it kind of goes, okay, this is what you want. And if it's not what you want, then you have an add remove line. So you just
Uh-huh.
like kind of like you draw on the thing to add or remove, which works most of the time. Honestly, it works pretty well. But I found myself being like, well, I want this, but if I draw the line here to add this, it adds something of the similar color elsewhere.
Right.
Eh, When I could just be like, if I had a lasso tool, I could just add this little nod or nodule or whatever, just a little bit, and just add that to my my cut. So that was a little bit that was irritating. And then the only other thing you can do is just a select tool, which is a square or a rectangle. And it literally is just a rectangle, and you can either cut or copy what's in that rectangle. And it's sharp lines. So it was a little bit of time.
Yeah.
But other than that, the biggest thing that I've been trying out is Disney Dreamlight.
Right.
So When I first heard Disney Dreamlight, I was like pretty stoked. I was like, oh, awesome. It's going to be, Animal Crossing and like Dinkum and the what is it called? That's not simulator, but the life something.
That's Animal Crossing is probably as close, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a little closer to that. And starting out, it does have a a more robust character creator than I expected out of the Disney game and Gameloft. It gives you more to work with. It's not anywhere near like a Saints Row or even like the old wrestling game by any means. You can't like change the eye position or the points or the cheek positioning or anything like that, but it does give you a fair amount of customizability. Yeah, those two, that word. I did make a note that I found it lacking in the Asian department. There was literally a female Asian and a male Caucasian Asian. Because it was a very white. It looked like a Caucasian, but they just made his eyes a little more pointed and a little more like closed. I'm like, I guess that's supposed to be the Asian one because it's next to the female Asian. So, but it is what it is. It's not a realism game. It's not a sim.
No. I mean, I don't think it portrays itself to be one either.
No. So I starting it. It's fun. I don't know. It's one of those I think I still need to play a little more, but right now it's like I'm playing it to continue it, just to continue it. And to see where the story's going, but it feels a lot like they talk about the ruler a lot, like the old ruler of the land, the valley, and I get the feeling that it ends up being you in some sort of time jump thing, like you forgot or something. I don't know. It's very they don't say any pronouns or anything. They just call him the ruler. So it feels like you're going to end up end of the game being like, well, you were the ruler and you got lost because you lost your memory or something like that. So the story is kind of I don't want to say simplistic, but basic in how it's going.
Granted, it's also in early access. So
yes,
a lot of this you can take with not a grain of salt, but you can take this be the expectation is some of this can end up changing.
Right. Oh, I mean, all of it could really end up changing.
That is true.
Think about it. Technically, the movement reminds me. So the game itself reminds me of and I guess maybe this is because it's Gameloft, but it reminds me of a mobile game advanced. So I can see where it started out on a mobile game platform.
Okay.
And then they were like, oh, it's probably will do better on a PC or a console. So they added more movement or better movement and open worldness. But it's still kind of it's not smooth or fluid enough for movement.
Oh, all right.
It's hard to explain because it's not really janky, but it's if I hit A to go left and then I go hit W to go up, there's not a curve. It's just instantly turns. So I feel like I'm pivoting very quickly all the time, as a third person camera. And then just like Stardew or Animal Crossing and Dinkum, it's hey, do this this job or get me this many fish or sell this fish and you can buy this. It seems like Scrooge McDuck, which makes sense. Scrooge McDuck is the nook of the area. He runs a store that you can buy all of your decorations and stuff at. He's the one that if you want to upgrade the shops or your house, he's the one who comes out to do the upgrades.
Right.
So it makes sense in the Disney world, because it's Scrooge McDuck.
I mean,
Uh,
yes, the man with all the money taking place of the man who controls all the money.
right.
The
I
raccoon,
mean,
the tanuki who
right.
controls all the money.
I mean, you could even say Scrooge was the original Nook.
Uh, sure. Sure, we'll go with that. He holds all the money in his vault.
And he spins. And it's
And he
got
spends it.
there's a bunch of like Easter eggish kind of things like in there. You can go into his store and you can see the vault door, right? You can't go in it, but you can see the big vault door, which is kind of cool. I'm like, oh hey, look, it's behind the register.
Which, that's not canon.
No, it's not, but it's also you also in a dreamlight valley. So like it's like everyone lives in their own world or their own universe, but can also be in this dream universe. I don't know if it's like simultaneously or if like they have to be sleeping in their universe because that's
Right.
kind of how you get in there. You're asleep and then you get pulled into this universe. So I haven't gone far enough to really get a good state of it, but it seems that might be the case. Is like you fall asleep in your universe and you are now in this dreamland, uh, which is like a central hub because it's all about memories. This game's all about memories, which gives me real like oh shoot, I can't remember the name. The Keyblade,
Kingdom Hearts?
Kingdom Hearts. Yes, give me like real Kingdom Hearts kind of vibe. But if like they were to take Kingdom Hearts and like make it more mobile, like shrink it down for a mobile set of device.
I mean, I get what you're saying. The only issue is that they've already done that a few times already. And in fact, I believe Gameloft did like one or two of those, if my memory serves right.
Probably that makes sense. I mean it is Disney, and Disney's Disney's very good at the put it in the vault, bring it out. It's the same thing, but it's new.
Well, I mean, this would be an old Kingdom Hearts mobile games.
Yeah, but I mean, it's fun. I can see where it's going. I do hope they add a little more polish to it before it kind of like comes out of early access to really make it more like a Stardew or Animal Crossing. Just a little more polished. I'm still gonna keep playing it. I think it's worth it. It's probably not gonna kick anything off my list.
Yeah. Well, again, early access, very possible that things could change, get better, whatnot.
Yeah. And I think the biggest draw to this is the fact that it's Disney, right? You have the wonderful world of Disney.
Of
I just
course.
want to see my awesome Disney characters like, Aladdin and Jafar and, like Wally and Eva. And, I want to see these characters that you've kind of grown to love.
Right. I mean, that's the whole point for any of the Disney games is being able to interact with either a set number of those Disney characters or all of them.
Which, I mean, there have been a fair amount of Disney games that are not Kingdom Hearts.
Right. I mean, yes, there have been a lot of different Disney games over the years.
So since we're going down that track and it does roll right into our topic, what is the wonderful world of Disney games that we love? What are your memorable ones? What do you like?
I mean, the ones that stick in my mind the most, I guess, other than saying Kingdom Hearts. If you say, "Hey, what Disney game have you played?" The first one on my list is probably going to either be DuckTales or Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers. The Lion King and the Aladdin game on the SNES. So, I mean, those were like my go-tos. If you say, "Hey, what Disney game do you remember playing? What was the first Disney game that you played?" It's going to be, "Oh yeah, I played DuckTales and Chip 'n Dale on the NES." Actually, we played Chip 'n Dale on the PC too. We had that on.
Yes, I was going to say that's what
DOS.
I remember playing Chip 'n Dale's on the PC.
But we also had it for the NES.
Yes. For some reason, I don't remember that much. I remember on
For
the computers what I played.
Yeah, the NES one was the first stage was like in an alley, and you had to the first thing was kind of very Mario like in that you have to jump over a trash can, and then
Mhm.
there's those robot dogs and everything you have to watch out for. Eventually, you're climbing up the telephone poles and on the power lines, and uh, it was a Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers. Uh, It's a good game. It's a good NES game.
It was. It really was. My now I've got to remember here earliest. I guess the first Disney game I remember playing and like sticking with as best I could was actually The Lion King. Like
Also,
that,
a good, mainly because it had most of the music too.
right? That's like the first one that, like, if you were to ask me before you said the Chip and Dale's one, that's what I would have gone straight to, right? The Lion King. And after you mentioned Chip and Dale, I'm like, oh, right, we did have that kind of thing. But the one that that just sticks in my mind, I think probably because I failed so many times at that dang game, and I got the like that ending credit thing of like the king will return.
Yeah, and then you start over. You hit continue to use up
Yep.
your continue, and you hear Timon go, "It stops."
Yeah. Right. Um, I know I played, and I'm actually like right now I just pulled up a list, but I know I played the Aladdin game. I just
Oh
don't
yeah,
remember a whole lot of it.
we had it for
Genesis, right?
I believe it was the Genesis, yeah. Which I think there is a difference between the Genesis and the Super Nintendo version.
Okay.
Um, a couple years back, they had the Aladdin Lion King like remasters, and I did pick that up, and I played through Lion King, and that was rough. I didn't realize how hard that game gets towards the end. But Aladdin also not a bad platformer.
Yeah, it was, like I said, I don't remember a whole lot about it. I just remember playing it. I do remember the carpet section, like the magic carpet section out of the cave, I believe. But
Oh,
just
okay, yeah, yeah.
like split seconds of that. So I guess I almost wonder if maybe you played more of it and I just watched you play.
That's very possible. I mean, oh, you know what? Now that I think about it, maybe we did have Aladdin on SNES.
Was it? Because I remember, or maybe because no, I remember playing a lot of the Disney games on the Sega. But then again, like I said, I don't remember a whole lot of that Aladdin. I remember more of the Lion King because I played it with my friend Brian's house a
Uh,
lot. And I remember just dying there repeatedly because I couldn't beat this stupid. I can't remember which level it was. It's the one with the giraffes and all the other animals that you're jumping on.
in Lion King,
Yeah.
that's the I can't wait to be king part. That's the
Yeah,
second. Yeah,
yeah. I kept dying on that. I don't think I ever passed that level. Like, to honest truth.
yeah, that's the one where you jump off the giraffe's head. You have the monkeys catch you.
Yeah.
It's mostly a puzzle level. You know, you're trying to get to the end, and you're trying to hit the right monkeys to have them toss you in the right direction.
Right. I bet that was probably where I was like, this, I don't like this.
Yeah, that if I remember my playthrough right, the hardest for me was the stampede, trying not to get hit, and the actual last fight with
Scar.
Scar.
Yeah, I don't remember the Stampede. But well, okay. I don't remember playing the Stampede. I may have seen you play it, but I definitely don't remember any Scar battle.
But yeah, those are like you know the main ones. Like
Yeah.
obviously anybody's really going to say those. There's
Well,
one
if they were older, yeah.
there's one that was on the NES, and I cannot for the life of me remember the name of this one. If you have a list pulled up, maybe you can figure it out. It was on the NES. We played it at an old neighbor's house of ours, and basically it was you riding the different Disneyland rides as mini games.
Uh, hmm.
I don't
Don't
remember
know.
what that thing was called. It's I remember thinking it was Castle of Illusion, but it's not. Castle of Illusion was a different game that I think I only ever like dabbled in. I never actually sat down and played it.
Is
But
it
I have seen
Adventures in the Magic Kingdom?
Adventures in the Magic Kingdom.
Released June 1990
1990.
for the NES.
I
Maybe not, because this looks more like a.
let's see.
Hmm.
Adventures in the Magic Kingdom game. Oh wait, that box art looks right.
I don't
Hold
remember
on.
this at all.
Let's see. Images. That's it. That's it. Yeah. There's oh my gosh. Yeah, this shoot, man. Like the entrance to the park, you're like this cowboy. Yeah, there it is. Oh boy. Okay, yeah, so adventure I'm going to have to go
Oh, wait a
find a
minute.
copy of this.
This one image of like the castle and like an overhead image, and there's like a train.
Yeah,
like,
the western area,
Western
the
area?
frontier town.
I remember this image, like just like how that looks. So maybe I
Uh-huh.
did. Maybe I did watch you play this.
Yeah, because like I said, we played this at a neighbor's house, the same neighbor that we played mostly, where we mostly played Sonic the Hedgehog at, because he had a Genesis at the time and we didn't.
Right. Oh, also we also played what is it called? It's Zero Suit Lions or something like that now.
Assault Suit.
Assault, that's what it
yeah.
is. Yeah. But it was called something different back then, I believe.
It was.
Some
Oh wow.
Battlefield Earth. No, something.
No.
No.
Target Earth.
Target Earth. That's what it is. Yeah. It was his house, right?
No.
No. Okay. So it was a different one.
This was before that house.
Oh, this was at the other area. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were
Yeah.
very young.
I was really young then. I was a baby.
But yeah, that one. Shoot, wow, I'm gonna have to go track that down and see if I can. Maybe I'll do a playthrough of that one. That'll be like
There you go.
the first game I stream is is a Mickey Mouse game that nobody really knows.
It's not even a Mickey Mouse game. It's a Disney game, because that's specifically centered on Mickey Mouse, right?
This is true. I mean, the quote unquote cutscenes, if I remember right, had Mickey, Donald, and Goofy on it. So
There you go. Yeah. So one of the games I specifically remember playing that I didn't mind, I actually kind of liked, that was more new, was the Epic Mickey games. And we got them for Keegan when he was young, and he liked them for a little bit, and then kind of like jumped off of them. It was actually the only game that actually got me to play the Wii for more than like a second.
The Epic Mickey games were actually good. They weren't amazing. So they didn't get like high praises, but they weren't
going to sell a console by any means.
Yeah.
But they were still very solid games. They had good storytelling. It had great visuals. And I liked the idea. It actually reminded me, there was a game, Magic Genie? No. Concrete Genie. Which was on the PS4 a little while ago.
Okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
yeah. When I played that game gave me very big Epic Mickey vibes, just in a little more of a newer way.
Right.
And I didn't like it as much, but it's probably because Epic Mickey had Disney characters versus the Concrete Genie was just a new character, so I had no investment in it. But yeah, I did like the Epic Mickey games. Epic Mickey 2 wasn't as good, I didn't think. Because I didn't play. I didn't even think we actually bought it. I think I just rented it or Gamefly or something like that. And then Keegan jumped off of it pretty quick, and I was like, I don't really like it all that much. I think that was for the Wii also. But then again, I didn't play a lot of the Wii or the Wii U. just in general.
They had their games. Not all of them were good games, but Nintendo is all about fun first and foremost, and not necessarily anything outside of their own stuff.
They like to keep it internal, yeah.
Yeah, they try to make their games as fun as possible for their system. And yeah, if you want to release games for it, go ahead. But, they're not catering to them.
We're not necessarily going to help. Yeah, we're not necessarily going to help you make them great,
We're going to give you these tools, and it's up to you whether or not you want to use them.
You have the dev kit, just like anyone else.
Yeah.
We're not going to make it easier for you. But that's how they've always been.
The other game that was oddly or strangely good was the original Cars game on the 360.
Did I ever play that? I don't think I ever played that.
That one was an easy 1,000 achievement points. I remember that's the reason why I finished it. But it turned out that it was actually not bad. Like, for a B tier kids game, it was fine.
When did that come out? When did that game come out? Because I wonder, it was 2006. So Keegan was just born, and I was starting my first years in college. That's why I didn't play it, because I was in college, and that was ridiculous.
Well, we were in the same house at the time.
Yeah.
And I think that was a rental from Gamefly. I bet you if I pulled up my Gamefly, I could see.
You could probably see it. Yeah, I'm surprised how far back that goes.
Actually, I'm going to go ahead and do that. You keep going while I look up Gamefly here and see how far back the history goes on this guy.
Well, I want to say, so actually, while you're doing that, there was a game that I do remember playing, and only because I saw this the box art is the Disney Sports Basketball, and I had completely forgotten about it. It was on the GameCube, but I remember that box art. I don't know where we played it because I don't think we had it.
And I know I didn't play it.
It had to be at a friend's house or something.
The only basketball that was like cartoony
was the Looney Tunes,
NBA Jam. Yeah, was the Looney Tunes basketball.
Right.
And we rented that one all the time.
We went that all the I remember that. We rented that all the time. But looking at these screenshots, I'm like, oh wow, I do remember this thing. I can't tell you whether or not I liked it or not, but I apparently played it enough to
have
these,
the memory.
Right? Come and blow into my mind here. But did you find your...
I had to log in because it didn't save my login info.
Of course. Well, let's see. What else we got here? I'm currently just on Google. Disney video games is what I've typed in. Disney Universe, yes. So I actually liked Disney Universe. I thought it was a really good game.
I don't remember this one.
A lot of people don't. It was in 2011. Keegan liked it. It was one of those, like, it felt very much like a Sony, like, hey, here's this good idea, but we're not really going to support it. We're just going to like throw it out there and see if anyone likes it. And I think it was like the predecessor to Disney Infinity, right? Where like they're like, hey, here's these like not open world, but almost like oh shoot, now I can't remember what the game's called. Like the Marvel Alliance, Ultimate Alliance games, where like you had a couple people and you just kind of platform through these worlds, fighting enemies and stuff, and you just had Disney characters. And then they came out with Disney Infinity to kind of, I guess, counteract or keep up with Skylanders.
Yes. Which, if Infinity had potential to be good, but boy, they bungled it by not allowing you to mix and match your characters in the different worlds. You can only do so in the toy box.
Yep. And then on top of, they did the whole version thing. So it was like Disney Infinity 1.0, 2.0, and I think there was a 3.0.
Yeah, there's 3. 3 was Star Wars.
That's what it is. Okay, yeah. So, and then you couldn't like use them interchangeably.
Well, you could. Each upgrade could use everything from below it. You just couldn't use like Star Wars figures in 1.0.
Okay. I didn't know that. See, I could have swore I remember like being like, you
No,
couldn't
so
use this figurine. Oh, maybe it was you couldn't use a newer one in the older one, is what
yeah,
you were saying. Okay,
you
that
can't
probably
use
makes
it in the
sense.
old ones, but you can use all of them in the new ones. But the thing that limited you was you could only mix and match them in the toy box. So, like, if you had a Star Wars playset, you couldn't bring Donald Duck into the Star Wars universe and use his abilities. It wouldn't allow that.
Yeah,
Which,
see, that's like a huge like. Okay, the whole reason I'm wanting to play this
yeah,
is to
and that
do
was
that.
and that was why the Lego Dimensions game actually worked for what it was doing, because you could do that. You could go into, let's say, the Scooby Doo world and bring Sonic along.
Right.
So I mean that that's what Infinity should have done. And then, obviously the biggest issue there was that they started printing the characters, the little figures. They overprinted on the ones that nobody was buying. So they got all this extra stock. Then they were just like, you know what, we're done. We're not going to spend any more money on this. So I did end up opening up my history on Gamefly, and it turns out, I do not have cars on here. So that tells me I bought cars.
You invested money in
I
cars.
invested money into cars. 'Cause I do not see it on this list. Other fun thing is how long of a gap it was between when I last had Gamefly and when I re-signed up for it, because I got the PS5 through the Gamefly deal that you sent me.
Yes.
So the last game I had rented on Gamefly was WWE 13 for the 360 on June 20th, 2013.
Wow.
It was the
And
last game. And before that, it looks like I had an active subscription. So just going through some of these games, like, oh wow, okay, I played these, huh?
well, see, that's the funny thing is, going through them, you look at it, it's like, oh, I played these, and I look at it, I go, you know what? I didn't play that. I got it, but I didn't play it. Like, you made me want to look back here, and like, I have my very first game was LA Noire, and then Naughty Bear,
What year was LA Noire?
2011.
2011. Okay, 2011. Let me go back to 2011. Where? Okay. Yeah, so it probably was the last game that we shared the Gamefly account was Trauma Team on the Wii.
Okay, yeah.
That was in 2010.
Okay. Well, here's what's even crazier. I remember playing Nelly Noir. I remember playing Naughty Bear. The third game I rented was Red Dead Redemption. I've never played Red Dead Redemption.
You have.
No, I don't remember playing it. I'll bet anything I got it, and then it sat. Yeah, actually, look. I got it September or 7/15, and I returned it 7/29. Because then I got Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots. I'll bet anything I got that, and then was doing schoolwork and never got into it, and then Metal Gear Solid 4 became more important to me.
We figured out you had to have played it, because when we were playing Red Dead 2, something synced up and you had trophies or achievements or something that we noticed that, oh, you have played this.
Man, that either I must have just a bad memory, or that game just did not stick in my head. Because I remember nothing of that game.
I don't know why. That game was amazing.
Yeah, I don't. Oh God, Duke Nukem Forever.
I bought that. I bought that on the
amazing.
PC.
Marvel Ultimate Alliance for the Xbox 360.
I bought that on the 360. Also, very good game. And
yes.
Also, way off topic at this point. No, you know what? No, Marvel is owned by DC.
Marvel is owned by DC. I mean, Disney. DC.
So
it's
yes, still on topic.
On topic. Well, now that we're going off there, so I think it's probably a good time to just kind of roll off and say, hey, we're done.
Sure.
Thank you guys for joining us and listening today and all of our little reminiscing banter, because, we reminisced. You guys just kind of listen to us.
Yeah,
talk.
send us your emails with what your favorite Disney game was from when you were little.
That'd be great, and we can talk about them on the because I'm sure there's plenty that we didn't play that other people like fond or even horrible memories of. If you got bad memories of a Disney game, definitely we'd love to hear that.
Yeah,
I'll read that.
Send us an email telling us to do a ranking of Disney games.
Yes,
if we get enough yeses, we'll do it. But if we don't get any yeses, we won't. So you'll know.
So you'll know. If you haven't yet, subscribe to dotEXE podcast. Did you enjoy today's discussion or any of the other ones? Let us know. Send us your comments, questions, topics, and corrections to dotEXE@savingcontent.com, or you can leave a comment at Saving Content on Twitter and Facebook. Saving Content is also on YouTube. Subscribe for video previews, reviews, trailers, and original content like dotEXE or Save State, our newest item on YouTube there for Saving Content.
New episode coming soon.
Yes. Are you looking for more gaming discussions? Hey, check out Quick Save podcast from Saving Content. Evan and Scott. I don't think they had one last week.
They did not, even though we guessed that they would, because scheduling on their average, that would have been a week to post. They didn't. So I'm going to say it's going to post today.
Probably.
We'll see.
We'll see. Hey, and that's the thing. When they got one, they nail it. They usually hit it out of the park. They're pretty good. So it's worth waiting for. Also, remember to visit us at savingcontent.com for the latest news and reviews. What do we got going up?
For this last week, it was just a couple of things. My House Flipper Pets review went up, and then Mr. Keegan had a Tower of Fantasy review go up as well. So give those a read, see if they tickle your fancy, and give those games a try.
Or plus, if they punch your fancy into nothingness because you don't like it. Hey, go for it.
Whatever floats your boat. Also, Save State. Go give that series a check. It was a lot of fun to record. I'm having a little bit too much fun with some of the editing.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
So I hope you guys enjoy.
And as always, before we go, tiny favor, guys and gals, simple 5-star review. You can do it in your podcast app. It's easy. Give us a review. It really helps us. Also, don't forget to tell your friends about us here at dotEXE. It'll help us grow. And again, we'd really appreciate it. Thank you for listening. And remember, the most wasted of days is one without laughter. Good night.